a good case study. So just to kind of reiterate, how can QuickBase impact your business? Well, it's easy. You don't want to use, QuickBase has a place, I think, in pretty much most businesses because it's implemented anywhere from Fortune 500 companies down to, I've done an application with a one-man consulting firm before. But what it can do is it can really become the central portion of your business, essentially, and then you can integrate it with other applications out there that are geared towards specific functions. Like, I put Pardot here just because that's a company that we work with. But let's say you have a great marketing automation system that's tracking stuff on your website, that's tracking leads of people that come to your website, etc. You could hook that into QuickBase and have it kind of be one central flow. Or you're a big Constant Contact user or a MailChimp user because you send out stuff on webinars every month, or you have a newsletter that you send out. In most cases, you can integrate QuickBase's contact list into these systems. You can integrate QuickBase into your website. So if people just kind of come in and want to put in a entry, they just want more information, right? It could populate right into your QuickBase. And you can even actually use QuickBase to send an automatic email back to them saying, hey, thank you for your inquiry. Somebody will be with you soon. Or you could use it for your website for ticketing if somebody wants to enter a support ticket into your website or something. The possibilities are endless. And then you could then integrate it with accounting. And QuickBooks, there's a lot of people who have developed QuickBooks integrations out there that work very, very well. And I'd be happy to Vail's partner, we partner with two different companies that have two very, very different QuickBooks integrations. We'd be happy to talk to you about the benefits of either integration. But there's also there's integrations with other systems, for very, very large companies. People integrating it with Mass 90, people integrating it with SAP, people integrating it with all sorts of stuff. And it's all kind of part of it playing good. So it can become the center of your world. Just to kind of give a shout out to everything that else is out there, if you're interested in learning more about integrations and add-ins with QuickBase, QuickBase has a great little kind of add-in section. It's pretty new on the website, www.quickbase.com, and you can actually search out what pre-built add-ins there are to QuickBase. And then there's also, like, my company, Vail Technologies. If there's something that's not there and it's something very unique that you want to do, we actually have the capability, as do other QSPs, to help build an add-on that kind of fits what you want to do. So this is my only sales pitch before I get to questions in this whole presentation, because really we want to avoid that. We're just trying to get people to understand what QuickBase is. But in terms of how Vail Tech can help in this whole process, there's really kind of 5 things. Consulting, so both business process consulting, which is really our strong point, and then also developing the data architecture for your QuickBase application that kind of helps solve that problem. A lot of the time people new to QuickBase, where its strength is that you can get into QuickBase and start doing stuff right away, but where they spend the most time and have the most hardship is they'll make not mistakes but learnings with the architecture. They'll make like little mistakes here and there about the architecture, or it's not architected directly right. And if you can get somebody in kind of early to help you architect, that's always good. We also do a lot of ground up development. So somebody comes in, they say, we have this business process problem. We want an application in QuickBase that helps us solve it, and we want it integrated to this. That's probably what the majority of our work is. We also do support, ongoing development support, and critical issue support. I differentiate between the two because QuickBase is the coolest thing about it is you're constantly evolving it to your business. And our ongoing development support allows us to constantly work with a client. We actually give like buckets of support. We call them credits. Lets us work with a client continually to kind of evolve their app more and more as the years go on without having to kind of do huge projects here and there. We just kind of always are working with them. And it's not a working in them in terms of something's always broken, we need your help fixing it. It's more of like our business is constantly changing, and we want this thing to keep fitting our business process. Training, you can find out about our training. We just launched a whole QuickBase training program, so whether if you want QuickBase admin training, or if you want us to come in for a 2-day training and teach your team both about QuickBase, how to develop in QuickBase, and then help you architect an application and help you start building it together. We have what's called our intensive training, which is really kind of a good option. And then we also partner with a lot of consultants, ISPs, also Intuit solution providers, who really don't want to get into QuickBase development, but what they do want to do is they want to offer the solution to their clients. So we'll do one of two things. We'll have a lead share program where they send a lead our way, and we will give them, a percentage of the first project and every project after that for eternity. Or what we do is called a collaborative partnership, where they may act as the project manager and manage the client and the project, and we will act essentially as just an outsourced QuickBase developers. And that's been a very successful program also. Before I get into questions, our next webinar, we're having a webinar every 2 weeks. Our next webinar is QuickBase for Consultants. It's on Friday, December 2nd, 1 to 2 p.m. This is really geared around people who have a consulting practice. And it could be a consulting practice from a one-man consulting practice to, we'll probably have maybe even some people from, some of the larger consulting firms on this. And it's going to be about two things. Consulting firms and consultants have two pieces of value that they can get from QuickBase. One, they can help manage their own consulting process, and two, it also is a great tool for them to go out and do some management or business process consulting and have a tool at that point that they could then implement some of that process change. In fact, that's how I got into QuickBase myself. I was consulting, and I found it was a great tool to help launch change in businesses. But there will be more about that up on our website. This is our contact information. And with that, I'm going to take everybody off of mute. And I saw some questions in the chat, but I'm also going to just kind of take verbal questions. But if we can kind of do it one at a time, that'd be great. If anybody has any questions, I know I just kind of threw everybody a bunch of information there.
Unmuted.
Okay, everybody's off mute.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Is this Marvin?
Yep.
Hi, Marvin.
Getting a little bit of an
Yeah. When there's this many people on, it's hard to avoid.
I don't want to take the job, but maybe